Russell Simmons has quit his business and music empire after being accused of sexual misconduct by a second woman. On Thursday, Sidney Lumet's daughter Jenny accused Simmons of forcing her into having sex with him after allegedly locking her in his car and taking her to his apartment against her will in 1991. It is the same year in which former model Keri Claussen Khalighi claims she too was assaulted by him in the same apartment as Brett Ratner watched. In an open letter to Simmons that was published by Lumet The Hollywood Reporter, Lumet said she was prompted to share her accusations after reading Simmons' denial of the other woman's claims. She says she was 24, and he 10 years older, when he forced himself on her after locking the doors of his chauffeur-driven car once she was inside it. They had both been at the Manhattan restaurant Not Chine, dining separately, when she says he lured her to the vehicle by offering her a ride home. Russell Simmons has quit his business and music empire after being accused of sexual misconduct by a second woman. Jenny Lumet, the 50-year-old daughter of the late film director Sidney Lumet, claimed on Thursday that Simmons forced her into having sex with him in 1991 when she was 24 and he was 10 years older. She is pictured with her father in 2008. Sidney died in 2011. Lumet, the daughter of legendary film producer Sidney and Gail Buckley, whose grandmother is the iconic jazz singer Lena Horne, was familiar with Simmons, having socialized with him in groups for years beforehand. On the night of the alleged encounter, she said he switched from the bubbly and friendly person she knew and said no twice after she gave his chauffeur her address. Once at his apartment building, she says he led her into an elevator where he pressed his body and mouth onto her as they ascended to his apartment. It was dark. You closed the door. At that point, I did what I was told. There was penetration. Jenny Lumet in an open letter to Russell Simmons alleging how he attacked her in 1991. There, she says he led her into his dark bedroom where the alleged attack took place. It was dark, but not pitch dark. You closed the door. At that point, I simply did what I was told. There was penetration. At one point you were only semi-erect and appeared frustrated. Angry. I remember being afraid that you would deem that my fault and become violent. I did not know if you were angry, but I was afraid that you were, she said. She then described how Simmons told her to turn onto her stomach before he ejaculated. Related articles previous. 1 Next. Business as usual on Today as Savannah Guthrie and Hoda Kotb. Matt Lauer is probably at a bar with Charlie Rose, NBC. Share this article. Share script dm.later, bundle, function, if, dm.rotator, new dm.rotator, p20, page size, 1, page count, 1.0, active class, active, rotate, false, $, number p20.share, .on, click, function, dms.facebook.post related. I desperately wanted to keep the situation from escalating. I wanted you to feel that I was not going to be difficult. I wanted to stay as contained as I could. You told me to turn over on my stomach. You said something about a part of my body. You did not ejaculate inside me, she said. Afterwards, she claims she got herself a taxi and went home. In response to her claims on Thursday, Simmons released a statement to say he was stepping down from his business empire. Lumet and Simmons appeared together in the 1988 film Tougher Than Leather, which was put together to promote Run DMC's latest album at the time. She is seen above with one member of the group. It reads, I have been informed with great anguish of Jenny Lumet's recollection about our night together in 1991. I know Jenny and her family and have seen her several times over the years since the evening she described. While her memory of that evening is very different from mine, it is now clear to me that her feelings of fear and intimidation are real. While I have never been violent, I have been thoughtless and insensitive in some of my relationships over many decades, and I sincerely and humbly apologize. This is a time of great transition. The voices of the voiceless, those who have been hurt or shamed, deserve and need to be heard. As the corridors of power inevitably make way for a new generation, I don't want to be a distraction, so I am removing myself from the businesses that I founded. Simmons said his companies will be taken over and controlled now by a new and diverse generation of extraordinary executives. I will convert the studio for yogic science into a not-for-profit center of learning and healing. As for me, I will step aside and commit myself to continuing my personal growth, spiritual learning, and above all to listening. Lumet grew up in famous film and music circles. She is pictured with her late father in 1985. Her grandmother is the jazz singer Lena Horne, who Simmons told her he was a fan of. Simmons, center in white t-shirt, was already a star in 1991 thanks to the popularity of Run DMC and the success of his music label Def Jam, which he founded with Rick Rubin. He is pictured with Fab Five Freddy and Red Alert US in 1990, a year before the alleged sex attacks. Russell Simmons' statement: I have been informed with great anguish of Jenny Lumet's recollection about our night together in 1991. I know Jenny and her family and have seen her several times over the years since the evening she described. While her memory of that evening is very different from mine, it is now clear to me that her feelings of fear and intimidation are real. While I have never been violent, I have been thoughtless and insensitive in some of my relationships over many decades, and I sincerely and humbly apologize. This is a time of great transition. The voices of the voiceless, those who have been hurt or shamed, deserve and need to be heard. As the corridors of power inevitably make way for a new generation, I don't want to be a distraction, so I am removing myself from the businesses that I founded. The companies will now be run by a new and diverse generation of extraordinary executives who are moving the culture and consciousness forward. I will convert the studio for yogic science into a not-for-profit center of learning and healing. As for me, I will step aside and commit myself to continuing my personal growth, spiritual learning, and above all to listening. Lumet said the pair had known each other for years and that Simmons gently pursued her before the alleged attack. She claimed he told her he had a thing for a little yellow girl, an apparent reference to her mixed race. She also claims that he once sent her 250 balloons with a note which read, please baby, 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 baby. Former Victoria's Secret model Keri Claussen Khalighi, pictured in 1995, also claims she was sexually assaulted by the hip-hop legend. On the night in question, she says she innocently accepted his offer of a ride home, but that the trip quickly turned sinister. The driver, she says, did nothing to help her. You offered me a ride to my home. I said, sure. At no time that night did I say, Russell, I will go home with you. Or, come home with me. Or I will have sex with you. Or I have the desire to have sex with you. I got into the car with you. The driver began to drive. I assumed you knew where I lived, because you had sent me 250 balloons, but I gave the driver my address on 19th Street and 2nd Avenue. You said to the driver, no, I didn't understand, so I said, Russell. I said, again, to the driver, 19th Street. Again you said to the driver, no. Then, the car doors locked. It was loud. The noise made me jump. The pair continued to run into one another at events including the Oscars for years after the alleged attack. According to Lumet, they were cordial and nodded at one another but never spoke of the sexual encounter again. She said she was suddenly compelled to address it this month after watching him deny the claims of others who say he has abused them. I can't leave those women twisting in the wind. Maybe the recalling of this incident can be helpful. I don't know if it can. In this very moment, I feel a pang to protect your daughters. I don't think you are inclined to protect mine, she said. Earlier this month, former Victoria's Secret model Keri Claussen Khalighi described how she was allegedly raped by Simmons in his apartment while Hollywood figure Brett Ratner watched. Simmons, above with girlfriend Hannah Nicha earlier this month, said he would focus on personal growth and healing. Simmons' $340 million empire. Media, music, and money. All Def Digital. Global. Narrative. Def Jam Enterprises. Def Pictures. Def Jam Comedy, Rush Books, Rush Card, Credit Card, Clothes, Health and Yoga, Tuntrees, Yoga and Lifestyle brand with clothes and studios, Celsius, Health Drink, Argyle Culture Menswear and Eyewear, American Classics Eyewear. In 2004, Simmons sold Fat Clothing, the apparel company he founded, which included his wife Kimora's label Baby Fat along with his label Fat Farm, to retail giant Kellwood for $140 million. Charities: Rush Philanthropic Arts Foundation, Diamond Empowerment Fund, Foundation for Ethnic Understanding. She said the three had been at dinner and retreated to Simmons' apartment afterwards. In response, Simmons issued a strongly worded denial. "I completely and unequivocally deny the horrendous allegations of non-consensual sex against me with every fiber of my being," he said. Simmons has 3 children with ex-wife Kimora Lee Simmons. He has been in a relationship with 31-year-old German model Hannah Nietzsche for 5 years. At the time of his alleged attacks on Lumet and Khalighi, he had not yet met his first wife. He was already a prominent figure in the music industry, having already founded the thriving Def Jam Records with Rick Rubin in 1985. He was at the time best known from the group Run DMC. Since then, he has amassed a widely rivaled $340 million business empire which is blanketed by Rush Communications. It umbrellas his 11 yoga, health, lifestyle, business, communications, finance, and entertainment companies along with his 3 charities.